What if the most powerful man in the world wrote quietly to himself? Not about conquest, but about being kind and staying calm? In a world filled with noise and power, Marcus Aurelius turned inward and asked, "How do I remain good in the face of everything?" His meditations were never meant to be published, so what can we learn from a man who led an empire while training his soul in silence? Marcus Aurelius was not just a Roman emperor. He was a philosopher in armor, a ruler of millions who spent his nights alone, writing to himself, not about strategy or politics, but about the discipline of the mind. His book, Meditations, was never meant for anyone else. It was a private journal, a place to remind himself of what truly mattered. And yet today, almost 2,000 years later, those pages continue to guide people around the world. Why? Because within those notes is something timeless. A philosophy of strength without cruelty, of power without pride, of clarity in the face of chaos. It is called Stoicism, but Stoicism, in its true form, is not cold or emotionless. It is not about hiding feelings or pretending to be tough. It is about learning to live from the inside out, to face everything life throws at you with a calm and steady heart. Marcus did not write from a throne. He wrote from struggle. His reign was filled with war, disease, betrayal, and loss. He buried children. He faced endless conflict. He ruled during one of the most difficult periods in Roman history. And yet, in the quiet hours of the night, he turned inward, not to complain, but to train his soul, to write down reminders, to ask himself hard questions, to hold himself accountable. He would write, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These were not just words. They were survival, because Marcus understood that no matter how great his power, he could not control the world. He could not control what people said, or who lived or died, or what challenges would come. But he could control how he responded. He could choose his thoughts, his actions, his values. This was the heart of Stoicism, to live with virtue, not because it guarantees reward, but because it is the right thing to do. To be just, even when others are not. To be patient, even when life is cruel. To be humble, even when praised. To remind yourself, again and again, that your peace does not depend on the world. It depends on how you meet the world. Marcus believed that philosophy was not for debate halls. It was for life, for the battlefield, for the throne, for the home. He read the works of Epictetus, a former slave turned Stoic master, and took his words to heart. He practiced what he read, and slowly, he built a kind of inner fortress, not to escape from life, but to live it more clearly, more courageously, more honestly. His journal was his mirror, a place where he could face his flaws, where he could speak with himself like a friend, where he could whisper reminders like, "Do not waste time arguing what a good man should be. Be one," or, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." These were not lectures. They were reminders. gentle nudges to stay awake in a world that constantly tries to make us forget who we are. And perhaps that is why meditation still matters today. Because Marcus was not perfect. He did not pretend to be. He was a human being trying to stay good in the middle of chaos. Just like us. The writings of Marcus Aurelius are not long speeches or abstract arguments. They are short, sharp, often poetic. A single line from his journal can stay with you for years. Not because it tells you what to do, but because it reminds you of what you already know deep down. These reminders were how he trained himself, not to control life, but to live with clarity in the face of it. Again and again, he returned to a central idea: we cannot control what happens outside us, but we can control how we respond inside. This was the essence of Stoic practice. Life will bring pain, injustice, disappointment, loss, but none of these things can touch the part of you that chooses how to meet them. That part is always yours. That part is your true self. Marcus writes, "Choose not to be harmed, and you will not be." At first, this may sound unrealistic. How can someone say that when real harm happens in the world? But Marcus is not denying pain. He is reminding us that pain does not have to define us. That even in suffering, we still have the power to decide who we are. And that decision, moment by moment, is where true strength lies. Another constant theme in his writing is time. The awareness that life is short. That we waste so much of it on what does not matter. He writes, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is not meant to scare us. It is meant to awaken us. To shake us from distraction and remind us that today is not rehearsal. Today is life. And within that life, Marcus urges us to do only what is necessary, to speak only what is true, to act only with purpose. He believed that if we lived simply, humbly, and sincerely, we would find peace, not the peace of comfort, but the peace of integrity, the peace that comes from knowing that we did not waste our days chasing shadows. His meditations are full of practical wisdom. They teach us to expect difficulty, not as a curse, but as part of the human experience. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This is one of the most famous lines in all of Stoicism. It means that obstacles are not interruptions. They are invitations. Every challenge is a chance to practice virtue, to grow stronger, to move forward not despite the problem, but because of it. He also wrote about humility. Even as an emperor, Marcus reminded himself not to think too highly of his own opinion, not to seek praise, not to hold grudges. Soon you will be dead, he tells himself, and none of this will matter. That might sound harsh, but it is freeing, because it means we can stop taking everything so personally. We can stop wasting energy on things that do not help us live better. What Marcus practiced was not emotional numbness. It was emotional discipline. He did not try to erase feeling. He tried to rise above reaction, to meet anger with patience, fear with perspective, suffering with courage. This was not denial. It was strength. And that strength came not from force, but from attention, from reflection, from choice. Through these practices, Marcus Aurelius built an inner life that could not be shaken by outer storms. And that, perhaps, is the most important lesson of all. That the calmest person in the room is not the one who avoids hardship, but the one who is not ruled by it. The wisdom of Marcus Aurelius was never meant to stay locked in history. It was meant to be lived. His writings, though ancient, speak directly to the struggles of our modern world. We are overwhelmed by distraction, by comparison, by pressure to be everything and please everyone. Marcus gives us an alternative. He says, return to yourself, not in selfishness, but in truth, in stillness, in strength. To live stoically today does not mean you must wear robes or speak in old phrases. It means learning to pause, to examine your thoughts before they become habits, to ask, is this worth my energy? Am I being guided by wisdom or by fear? Is my reaction making me stronger or just louder? One of the most powerful things Marcus teaches is the idea of self-ownership. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. He writes, which means, you are not only what you do, you are how you think. Your inner world shapes your outer experience, and that gives you power, not over others, but over yourself. To live stoically is to set boundaries, not only with others, but with yourself, to recognize when your desires become traps, when your emotions try to lead you away from your values, when your ego wants attention more than truth. Marcus reminds us that the true measure of a person is not how much they have, but how well they hold themselves. This does not mean suppressing who you are. It means refining it, sharpening it, returning to what matters most. When you read Meditations, you begin to notice something. Marcus repeats himself often. He says the same reminders over and over. Why? Because self-mastery is not a one-time decision. It is a daily practice, a path walked again and again. We forget easily. That is why Marcus wrote, not to impress the world, but to stay awake, to stay kind, to stay just. He knew the temptation of pride, of anger, of distraction. And he fought them not with swords, but with silence and thought, with reflection, with simple truths. He reminds us to be patient with others, because they, like us, are struggling. He reminds us to be grateful, because even small things are gifts. He reminds us to live with urgency, because time moves fast, and no one escapes its reach. But most of all, he reminds us that peace is possible, not after success, but in the middle of life's uncertainty. To live with that kind of clarity is to live from within. You do not need the world to approve. You only need to be aligned with what you know is good. That is Stoicism. That is strength. That is the quiet fire behind every word Marcus left behind. Thank you for exploring the quiet depth of Marcus Aurelius with us. His meditations may have been written in solitude, but they were never meant to stay silent. They were meant to echo into the hearts of people like you. People searching for something steady in a shifting world. So take a moment, ask yourself, What kind of inner life am I building? What am I training myself to feel, to value, to become? If this reflection helped center you, grounded you, or gave you something to think about, let us know in the comments. Share what quote from Marcus speaks to you the most. Let's keep this conversation alive, just as he kept his inner dialogue going through every trial. And if you want more paths into the philosophy of a meaningful life, stay with us here on the Life Philosophy channel. Until next time, stay steady, stay thoughtful, and live from the inside out.